Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about a major breakout that took place yesterday where Bitcoin rallied up to $94,000 and is now corrected back down to a very important trend line. If you'll recall, yesterday we discussed this very important downtrend. We talked about how there were three major touches on this downtrend. One here at 116,000 on October the 28th, one here on the 11th of November, here at 107, and then also another touch right here at approximately 94,000, and that was set on the 3rd of December, 1 week ago today. As of yesterday, leading into the Fed meeting today, we saw Bitcoin break above this local high here at 92 and rally up to exactly where we started it right over here at 94. In fact, we actually rallied several $100s higher than the high that we had set last Wednesday. And again, all of this is front-running the Fed meeting. If you go on over to cmegroup.com/CME FedWatch tool and whatnot, you will see that in about 4 hours from when I'm recording this, around 2:30 this afternoon, we are going to have a rate decision. And at this point in time, even though Jerome Powell had signaled that we should not be pricing in a 25 basis point rate cut, it is very clear that the market is doing just that. Even CME Group themselves are giving it a 90% likelihood that a rate cut is going to occur. And it is very possible that in this case, that would be a bullish catalyst for the markets, considering the way that this is set up. So today, let's talk a little bit about this breakout that occurred yesterday. Let's talk a little bit about that Federal Reserve rate cut that we might be seeing today. And let's discuss how that may or may not lead Bitcoin back up to about $100,000. All right. Let's get started. First thing we need to understand is that the resistance that we hit yesterday is actually extremely strong. If you look out here on a longer term time frame and you pull a Fibonacci retracement right here, what you're going to see on the linear chart is that $94,000 is an extremely important level. It is the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement off of this entire market structure when we rallied from 75,000 to 126,000. And so when we fell below this market structure, it was extremely important. And right now, as we are attempting to get back above this market structure, that level remains extremely, extremely important. And what we are witnessing right now is Bitcoin attempting to get above 0.618 while attempting to bounce right here off of this level around 88,000, which is set by these lows, this high, and then all these lows right here. So in actual fact, Bitcoin is constrained between these two levels right now, and we have seen the Bollinger Bands continue to tighten. We've seen them constrict and constrict and constrict on the 8-hour chart because volatility is drying up on Bitcoin, and instead of this just very sharp crash, instead of that, Bitcoin is now seeing this kind of dead cat bounce where the overall market was correcting like this, and the dead cat bounce looks a little bit something like this. You can see that the market is not correcting with the same speed to the upside as the velocity with which we ended up dropping down here towards $80,000 in the first place. So I would wager that the vast majority of this short-term volatility that we've seen over the last 24 hours is as a result of the Federal Reserve announcement coming today, but it's also because many people saw this downtrend and had short liquidations right here. This was a very large short liquidation event. It was one of the first major short liquidation events that we've seen in quite some time, and that's what allowed Bitcoin to rally from 90,000 to 94,000 on basically no news. Now, of course, moving into the Fed meeting, we've gone through a correction here back down to 92, but it is important to note that we are nowhere near back down towards 89.6 as we were before this rally. So we do, in the short term, have a very strong uptrend of higher highs and higher lows. What we really need to look at here is how Bitcoin has responded to Fed meetings in the past. So let's go on to a slightly cleaner chart, and I will show you the Fed meetings that we have seen in recent memory. The most recent Fed meeting that we saw was on October the 29th, and it happened right here. As you can see, even with the rate cut that we saw at the last Fed meeting, Bitcoin still went through a major crash. Okay, before that, we saw a rate cut back over here, and I believe it was the 19th of September. Let's check and make sure that we're not mistaken here. If we go to historical, September the 17th, apologies. So July 30th, September 17th. So let's look at both of those. So we saw the rate decision right here. We saw a little bit of a rally following that rate decision, but then we ended up seeing Bitcoin drop as well, of course. So let's go ahead and put that right there at 1,600 hours. That's give or take about the time of day that rate decision was made, and then right here. So these are the rate decisions, and then what did we say? We also said July 30th. So if we look at July 30th here, we're going to see something very similar. If you will notice, every time we've seen a rate decision, Bitcoin has crashed. I would also like to note that on these two rate decisions, you did see a rate cut. And I don't recall if we did here or not. I think we did, but we can prove that with the effective federal funds rate. I don't know. Actually, I don't remember if we did. I think this might have been a pause. But anyway, the point is, every time in the last 3 times that we have seen a rate decision from the Fed, it has been a bearish catalyst. It has led to a falling over on the market. And considering this is the first time that we've had a rate decision since we formally confirmed a bear market, as much as I would like to say that this is not going to lead Bitcoin into a correction, we simply cannot prove that because we don't know. We don't have any reason to believe that that trend is going to break. So again, I would like to see Bitcoin breaking through 94, but I have to go with the historical precedent, and I also have to go with the fact that we're in a bear market. And as much as I do believe that it makes the most logical sense for Bitcoin to rally up to $100,000 soon, if we see this rate decision today to drop interest rates down to 3.5 to 3.75, there is a stronger than not possibility that we're going to end up seeing a correction on Bitcoin. So you need to be prepared for volatility today, even as this video is coming out. This video will be coming out at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we will be seeing the rate decision approximately 30 minutes. Sorry, we'll be seeing the rate decision basically right at the time you're watching this video. I might put, actually, you know what? I'll put this video out at 1 o'clock today just to kind of front run the Fed meeting, because I want you guys to be able to be prepared for this. But from that point in time, we will be watching a major volatility event over the next few weeks. So let's look at the characteristics of that. The major levels of support and resistance that we're going to see a pretty substantial breakout on are either the level of resistance at 94,000 or this uptrending level of support, which could send Bitcoin back down to this uptrending level of support. So here are the two possibilities. Bitcoin kind of trends down here, drops down towards like 88. And what it ends up doing is it ends up doing an overside-underside test of this ultra long-term trend. Or on the other hand, for some reason, Bitcoin would break character and go into a rally on a bearish event, even though we're in a bear market. That doesn't make much sense to me. Just to be quite honest with you, it doesn't make much sense that Bitcoin would rally out of this Fed meeting. What makes a lot more sense is that over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin broke above this downtrend. What makes more sense is following the Fed meeting for us to have a grind down to do the overside, underside, overside test of that downtrend, right? So if we pull an extended line right here, line it up as best we can. What makes the most sense is that with this Fed meeting coming in today, let's go ahead and put this right there at 1,500 hours, somewhere around there. What makes the most sense is that Bitcoin would repeat history the same way that we've seen a correction, except it is very possible that since Bitcoin is due for a short-term rally, that Bitcoin could maybe rally into the Fed meeting, fall over here, fall down towards like 89,000, find support right here around 89,000, which is, once again, that level of support architecture that we've been talking about, support and resistance architecture, and then maybe try and build a bounce. And if we were to do that, then that would also create this uptrend. So I'm looking at this zone for a price target. Bitcoin could break character and go into a major rally here. But what I think is that Bitcoin is building this trading channel pointing north, and the next most likely visit because of this Fed meeting is the bottom of that trading channel. So I am anticipating, as a result of this Fed meeting, for there to be a correction down here. The invalidation of that would be a strong break above 94,000. And if we saw a strong break above 94,000, that would indicate a rally to the top of this trading channel, which sits up here at 97. However, this short-term correction because of the Fed meeting actually makes the most sense because we would see a drop down to this level, which would give us the time and space to rally to the top of this channel, hitting 100,000, intersecting with the 50 weekly moving average here around December the 21st. Now, that's an excellent chart, and that chart makes a lot of sense. There's one way that that chart could be totally bupkis, and the way that that chart gets completely thrown out the window is if Jerome Powell says anything about incoming quantitative easing. If he starts talking about 40, 50, $100 billion a month worth of quantitative easing, worth of liquidity coming into the market. That's where things change dramatically, and Bitcoin is not going to go through a correction. Instead, it's probably going to just shoot up straight to 100,000. So if you're betting on shorting this, I'm not real sure I would. You could make some money trying to short from here to here. I'm not the most convinced that's the best idea, because there is a very strong possibility that Jerome Powell comes out and says that we're going to start seeing a lot of liquidity coming into the market as a result of economic activity and as a result of various economic pressures that the Federal Reserve is monitoring right now. So, rate decision, we're almost certainly going to see a rate cut. Historically and technically, that would cause a correction on Bitcoin. However, the black swan to be looking out for is Jerome Powell saying anything about bringing online quantitative easing. And if he does say anything about that, then that is where we may end up seeing a break of character where Bitcoin rallies, even though we have historicity of Bitcoin going through corrections during this kind of announcement. So listen, stay tuned. Watch the Fed meeting. I will be doing the same thing. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you guys and seeing your reactions in the comments. What do you think they're going to do? Are we going to see a rate cut? Are we not going to see a rate cut? If you did enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And also, don't forget to sign up for Phemex. Phemex is the best place to do your trading in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. And I'm currently working on a full course to teach you how to trade. And it is going to be available for free to anyone who signs up for Phemex and trades over $100. So make sure you sign up for Phemex with the link in the description box down below. And when you do, deposit over $100, start trading. And when that course comes out, you're going to be getting that course absolutely for free. As I said, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, follow us on X at CryptoJeb, because we post daily here on our channel. We post all the time over on X. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.